Looks like we're all here now. We're going to start the board meeting. We're going to start with the Black Community. Statement by the board president. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Act, Meetings Act, NJSA 1046, 10-46 EL 1975 C231, as amended 2006 C70 S2, Asbury Park Board of Education has provided adequate notice of this meeting by sending the notice in time and date, location, and extended known the agenda of this meeting to the Asbury Park Press, the new coaster on January 3rd, 2025, via email. Copies of the notice have also been placed in the administration building, bulletin board, district schools, Asbury Park Municipal Building, Asbury Park Police Department, and filed with the city clerk on January 3rd, 2026. As Asbury Park School District provide all students with comprehensive and progressive education, where everyone possesses the skills and character to succeed in a diverse, evolving global society. Roll call.
Ms. Ackerman? Here. Ms. Clark? Here.
Here.
Mr. LaRocca?
Here.
Ms. Lizinski? Here. Dr. Penn?
Here.
Ms. Riggs? Here. Ms. Glassman? Here. Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Thank you.
We're going to start with presentations of the month by the superintendent.
Okay, so the mic's not going to work right now. Let's go tonight off with your presentation of the staff and student of the month, starting with Mr. Medina at the high school.
All right, so I will start with our student of the month. This young man, almost at this time last year, he received student of the month for December or January. I am particularly proud of this young man as he has demonstrated everything we want in a student, everything we want in an Asbury Park High School citizen. And one of the things as I was thinking about what I'd like to say to him, and I'm going to read some excerpts from the teachers, but we often talk about filling up the cups of our students, pouring into them. This young man has poured into the cups of the adults. He is generous, he is caring, he is bright, he is talented. Our student of the month is none other than Jason. Singer, and very talented, playing keyboard and drums. And our teacher, one of our teachers, Ms. Elgart, is impressed that Jason has perfect pitch. He also is composing his own music. And in art class, Ms. Roster has said that he is a great cartoonist and always finds creative ways to bring out his imagination. He's successful in his extracurricular endeavors, and Jason does remarkable things using the computer as well. So I'm very proud. This is a personal pleasure to introduce Jason as our student on this one. All right. And our athlete of the month is a soccer player who has been one of our leaders, bowler, who has been one of our leaders in what has been one of the more successful teams that we've had in years. Brian Cruz Jose. So Brian, as I mentioned, is one of our more successful bowlers. He has bowled or raised several 200-plus games. He is top ranked. He has guided his team also to a possible state championship, and most impressively, he is holding a 3.9 GPA top 10. And last but certainly not least, our staff member of the month is someone I count on literally every day, almost every minute of the day, who guides me, who keeps me on track, who has understood all of my little quirks and has learned how to direct me in completing certain tasks. I'm particularly proud of her because of her, not only her intelligence and her grit, but she is truly caring. She truly gives everything she has to the staff of Asbury Park High School, and it is a complete pleasure to introduce Ms. Ajane Phillips. The wit, the leadership, and as you can see, she's well regarded. Her leadership is something that I count on every single day. And as with Jason and our athlete of the month, they demonstrate exactly what it is to be a blue bishop. I'm very proud of this young lady here, and I'm grateful for being able to count on her. So again, once again, Ms. Ajane.
Okay, at this time, I call Mr. Humphrey from Middle School.
For our athlete of the month, we were going to honor it for the next month because they had death in the family. So we're going to just ask that we keep them in our prayers, and we'll honor Julia Reese at our next board meeting that they asked, the parents asked respectfully to the honor the family, because that was the first time they ever received such an honor. So we're going to hold Julia Reese applause and honors for our next board meeting. All right? Our student of the month, and this young lady is very special. I can say how infectious her smile is. Every day you will get either a smile or a hug at the door. She's one of our student ambassadors. She works with the fundraising at our school. She participates heavily with the bagel sales each and every day that they, not every day, but monthly, where we do bagel sales and we give bagels out to our staff. It was very influential in helping us organize, selling the goods, collecting the money, counting the money, making sure inventory is good. An overall scholar in all of our classrooms, whether it's science, math, ELA, or STEM, you see her participating at high levels, positive energy, and like I said, always does it with a smile. So at this time, we are happy to honor with her teacher. We want Ms. Kelly to come up as well. Ms. CeeLo, Tara, Hernandez, Emma. And she has a choice of McDonald's gift certificate. Our next teacher of the month. I share a lot in common with this teacher because this teacher happens to be a math teacher. Every time I go into the classroom, whether it's center work, whether it's group work, whether it's guided instruction, it's no task too large for this teacher. She's involved with the Sunshine Club. She brings a lot of sunshine to our building. She actually leads the Sunshine Club. She does monthly events for all of our staff and teachers to keep smiles on their faces. She's our photographer. So she's in charge of the yearbook and photography where she takes outstanding pictures at each and every event. You have to see some of the newsletters that are created with the imagery and the verbiage that goes into these newsletters. And then in terms of a teacher leader, she will support her colleagues. We recently had a brand new math teacher that she was very instrumental in giving a lot of support and best practices to support our new math teacher. But overall, I have to say that we would not be in the position that we are currently in our with mathematics at the middle school if it wasn't for Ms. Miles. So, thank you very much. And I have to say also, she not only teaches our Gen A math students, but she also teaches our Dream Academy and holds our students at a high level, as well as she teaches our bilingual math classes, which is one of our most impressive classrooms because we have 3 adults. We have Haitian Creole students in there. It was a Haitian Creole choir. We have a Spanish-speaking bilingual teacher in there, as well as we have Ms. Miles. And occasionally you'll go in there and you'll hear speaking in Spanish as well as English to her bilingual math students. So once again, I just have to give her a special shout out because she is an awesome. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. For Graduate Student of the Month, before I share her name, this is one truly from the heart of not only me, but I can honestly say the building of Bradley itself. This is a young student who has worked so hard this year to persevere and improve in every area. And we always say each month that Student of the Month is not about the student who excels right away in everything. It's about children who come to school every day with a positive attitude, show determination, show respect for the learning process and the building itself. And this student has done just that. Her smile is infectious. To know her is to love her. She lights up every room that she is in, and she truly holds a special place in not only my heart, but that of her teachers and case manager. I could honestly say she has received nominations the last several months for Student of the Month, and this month she was nominated by her classroom teacher, her classroom paraprofessional, and her case manager, joined tonight by her wonderful, supportive family, her teacher, Miss Barone, her paraprofessional, Mrs. Homer, Miss Mary Ann Hillington. Family, please come up and share this honor. Ms. Barone, please come up and share this honor as well. Ms. Holder, please come up and share. And Mary Ann has the royal treatment tonight. She is also joined by her former principal, Mrs. Ian and Jackson Byers. It is a full house.
I guess you two are best friends.
Miss Barone, you should be coming right back up. This evening's Bradley Staff of the Month was a teacher that received 6 nominations by peers this month. She is a staff member that is so positive, so proactive, so hardworking. She handles everything with a smile. It does not matter what I ask her to do, what her colleagues ask of her. She always says, we will get it done. Go, Bradley, go. If you've seen our dynamic Bradley newsletter, she is at the helm of them and has taken it to a whole new level. Her colleagues describe her as respectful, inspirational, a hard worker, dependable, and someone they can rely on. I have had the pleasure of working with her now for 2 school years, and she is consistent in everything she does. Her classroom is a spotlight of authentic learning. Joined tonight with her paraprofessional who nominated her, Miss Barone. Please come up and give her And she is joined tonight by her wonderful mother as well, taking part.
Good evening, members of the board and members of the community. My name is Steve Devereux, and I'm the principal of Thurgood Marshall Elementary School, and I'm excited to present to you tonight 2 members of the Thurgood community who have made their mark. I'd first like to start with my student of the month, first grade student who is already, again, making her mark at Thurgood Marshall Elementary School. I just want to share a few words of what her teacher said about her. She was nominated because she is strong. She has strong academic performance. She has positive behavior. She's a responsible citizen. She has excellent leadership qualities. She has respect for her peers and her teachers, and she is consistently displaying effort. Mariah Young, could you please come up and give that I greet with in the morning when I greet all students after her, and when I walk into her classroom every morning or when I do my walkthroughs, she's really the first one to greet me with hi, Mrs. Gilmore. So I'm super excited and I'm happy to present to you Mariah Young. We'll celebrate Mariah at our ice cream party next Friday. And last but not least, I would like to present to you name is Miss Pringle. I know you all know Miss Pringle. Miss Pringle is a teacher who serves on multiple committees. She is one of my teachers who mentors the new teacher. I will tell you that if I had a student at the Asbury Park Public Schools, my daughter would absolutely be in this class. She's passionate about her students as well as teaching. She played a major role this past week in ensuring that every student received a Christmas gift before they left for winter break, and for that I'm forever grateful. So Ms. Rachel, can you come up, please?
David Sprinkle.
Thank you, Superintendent. If the board would indulge me, I think we should go into executive session, discuss some things that I think will make the meeting go a little faster. Once the information that you guys may need to know, come back out and be a robust, faster meeting. Everyone has any issues with that?
I'll move it.
Roll call.
Second.
The motion to go into executive, Ms. Ackerman? Yes. Ms. Clark? Yes. Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca? Ms. Lizinski? Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs?
Yes.
Ms. Blackson? Yes. Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the board is going to retire to executive session to discuss matters involving negotiations, contracting, and to receive attorney-client advice. It's anticipated that the board will be in executive session for approximately 30 minutes, after which time the board will go on to public session to continue the meeting. The board will not be taking any formal action in executive session. To the extent that the board is going to take any formal action, it will be done out here in this room in public. Thank you.
Okay.
So, George, if I get deported. No, it's good. Maybe I can do that. I was. I'm tired.
Back in the day, 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 hours sleep. Twice a day, I need my rest. Sometimes I go to the bathroom, get back in the bed, 1 o'clock. So when you get 60, it's bad. I did just I did.
Excuse me. Hi, do you work for the Boys and Girls Club? I thought I might have seen that background third. Nice.
Yes.
Thank everybody. We'll get back to the meeting. We're, let's get a roll call on coming back in.
Ms. Ackerman? Ms. Buck?
Here.
Mrs. Will?
Here.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Mr. Linsky? Mr. Kennis? Ms. Riggs? Ms. Watson? Mr. Rogers?
Okay, we're gonna start with the reports of the committee chairs. We want to do policy.
Sure. Okay. So for the policy committee, we had the two items, both mandated items. Title I, school parent family engagement policies. And we also had alert 234 recommending for the first reading, use of generative artificial intelligence, and both are mandated by stress assessment. That is number 4.
Can I suggest that I didn't know that we had the alert on the policy updated and getting this from the meeting, and I just got the information today. Can we put that on next month's agenda so that we have an opportunity to look at the updates with the mandated alert? Because they are just, the alert, the policies, the alerts from the policies that we're supposed to be looking at just came on the agenda today, and I didn't get a chance. I knew there was an alert from December, but I didn't get a chance to read them, and we put them on next month's agenda for the first reading, so all their board members get a chance to review those policies.
Also, if I may, just for the benefit of the new board members, when Strauss Estimate, who's the policy clearinghouse, if you will, when they indicate that a policy is mandatory, it doesn't mean that the board must adopt it. Usually, the mandatory, and I'll use quotes around mandatory from Strauss Estimate, means that there's been a change in the law, statute, code that is affected by that policy. And so I just want the new board members to know that just because Strauss Estimate says it's mandatory doesn't mean it's mandatory. It means that there's been a change in the law that the policy addresses.
Yeah, there's one new one, I forget what it is.
The artificial intelligence policy, which I suggest that the policy committee review closely. I did that for another district, and there's some concerns about your ability to implement that was exactly written in Strauss's policy as it's written. So.
We also have a suggestion for the next policy committee about the new regulations for the immigration. I think, I know the department had put a bulletin out to the school districts, et cetera, about their own guidance that they have. And I think that might be an important information to put in on our website so that parents can look and even, other people in the community can see what the DOE has set up just to follow, make sure people have training, that there are things that people need to know, and that we can start looking at a new policy so we can also incorporate in our district.
Yeah, I think that that's a great point, Ms. Lisinski. There is a lot of talk in the school attorney circles about how we're going to handle and counsel our clients. I have had discussions already with Mr. Trevino, just kind of framework discussions about what to do should immigration enforcement officers come to the school building. It's something that I'll continue to work through and talk through the administration with, especially given the demographics here. That is a big concern in Asbury Park, and we want to do whatever we can to protect our children as best we can.
And maybe there might have to be some sort of update to our MOA with law enforcement, our community law enforcement.
Yeah, and great point again, but also just understanding and realizing that immigration is controlled through the federal government and our MOU is with local law enforcement. So,
Well, yeah, because there are some interesting points in the DOE notice that different warrants and things aren't necessarily right.
That's correct. And for everyone in the audience and for those who are listening at home, I suggest that you look at the DOE website with regard specifically that they set up a page within their website to address immigration enforcement and related concerns at schools and other sensitive places. And that's something that we're watching very closely as our world starts to change.
Yeah, there's guidance from New Jersey DOE on this subject, and I'm asking Michael and the rest of the committee to really look at those policies, and I need to make sure anything that needs to be updated is it's immediately to the committee, so we can vote.
I have a question. Just 30,000 foot view, right? What authority do federal immigration enforcement agents have if they approach a school?
It's a great question, and one that is somewhat gray and unclear. And so, there is some talk about an immigration warrant and how that's potentially different from a warrant that we see from our local law enforcement, whether or not that's applicable, or it needs to be followed if it's not signed by a judge. Whether or not an immigration warrant, an immigration judge can compel the school district to act a certain way is untested. But I'm here to offer my best guidance that I possibly can on a matter that is really fluid and is developing.
Right now, I just read an article on it, and our attorney is right. The suggestions are coming out, and maybe asking you this question. One, on that warrant situation, it advised that we should immediately call our attorney to review any existence of ICE or any federal agency coming into the building to make sure that our attorney first confirms these issues. And the superintendent be advised to work with him on that.
Yes, and we've already discussed this, he and I, that to the extent that any immigration enforcement officers come to the district, it's expected that the building administrator will call the superintendent, who will in turn call me, and that they will not let anyone in further than a vestibule, if you will, without first speaking with me. Quite frankly, one of the calls that I would make is to the county prosecutor, and I'd also be calling the head of the Division of Criminal Justice for New Jersey for some guidance as well, because there is documentation that would indicate that he or she should also receive notification to the extent that immigration enforcement officers come to the district. Again, our major goal here and our priority has always been student safety, health, and welfare. And we're not going to do anything that's going to negatively impact students. That's just not what we're here for. And so we're going to work within those lines and have that being our North Star, no harm to children. And that's all I can say at this point.
Any other questions? The finance committee.
The Finance Committee met last Thursday. We had 4 key topics. The first subject that we discussed was grants applied for and received by the district. This is Roman Santos, who is the grant writer and administrator, made a presentation to the committee for this school year to date. She's gotten about $4 million in grants. Some are recurring grants, federal grants that she regularly applies for each year. Some of these she reported to us that a lot of the grant process has become more competitive. And some grants that we've received in the past we were not successful with. This time she also discussed with us the process by which she determines what grants she'll apply for and what subject areas she'll go to. And typically she will meet with the administrators and then meet with each of the principals in the schools, and hopefully those principals have brought up from the teachers the sorts of programs or materials or things like that that they need for their use during the school year. And if it's specific programs, she'll look for specific grants geared to that. If it's broader than that, she will try to work creatively to see what money might be available that can fit into the needs of the district. During the conversation, we sort of came to the conclusion that the communication could be better from the teachers to the principals to her, because we are aware of certain programs that some schools desired, but it did not reach her. And so she did apply for certain program funds that she otherwise would have. So she's going to work on enhancing the communication and that process. We then reviewed with Ms. Brown the budget process for the forthcoming year and where she stands and how she starts each stage of that process. Specifically, started discussing some of the areas that she's going to be focusing on, one of which is the health insurance plan. To see if there are opportunities for any significant savings by moving off of the state health plan onto a private plan. So she will come up with that. We also started to talk about some of the proposals that the monitor has made to look at for cost reductions, some programming, some outsourcing, and some sales. And we discussed charter school enrollment, and I will report for the public that we had our first piece of good news in our litigation with the charter schools. The administrative law judge ruled largely in favor of the Asbury Park School District and asked that the Department of Education set up a process in a neutral location for a 2-week period to verify the residency of the students of the charter schools, to confirm that in fact that they are Asbury Park residents and that the public funds of Asbury Park are being used to educate Asbury Park children. This is not a final decision yet. The Department of Education can reject this opinion, in which case we will be considering appealing that. For each of the students at the charter schools that are not verified as Asbury residents, for the 23-24 school year, we will receive back 50% of the funds that we paid to the charter schools. And for the 24-25 year, this current year, we'll receive back 100% of those funds that we pay out already. That's my report.
Any questions? Buildings and grounds.
Buildings and Grounds met January 16th virtually. We spoke first about Asbury Park Little League wanting to put signage from sponsors around the Little League fence that the new president, Steve Everett, put up and take down before and after games. We then spoke, we had a facilities update in terms of the attention initiative. So the AP test initiative started work during the holiday break. If you go by Banks Avenue, you'll see that they've flattened the surface. They said it takes about a month or so after it's flattened to for everything to kind of settle. We did want to reach out to them to see if it was possible to have 2 courts instead of 3, and maybe moving the court a little bit further east, so that if we're looking at how to best use our school property.
Hold on, Joe. Yeah.
This is so funny. Okay. We're discussing, we're going to discuss with them about making sure that the court is in a place that makes sense, especially if we're looking at the Obama School and the property surrounding it, to deal with it. But it's good to know that they're on they're working on it. So then there is a high school update. There's a media project that would use SDA funds. That's 80% done, and we're waiting on furniture. Are we still waiting on furniture? Okay.
That is for the esports, built that one. And the media furniture from the ESSA projects from last year, so it's come on.
Okay, great.
Almost there.
Okay, thank you so much. And there was no use of facilities request, and that was it. Can we move right to-
Joe, it looked like there were 3 courts in the saw.
What's that?
It looks like there were 3 because they used the
Right.
2, there were 2 already, and then they added extra.
Yeah, and it's more about kind of, if you notice, they put it kind of like right in the center of the green area between Obama and, or where the Christmas trees were.
Right, that's off to the side, but of course.
A little bit, yeah, right, and then we want, so we asked them to take to pause for a second, for a moment, and see if it could be moved a little bit further east, right, get my direction and stuff, a little bit east, and to possibly reduce it to 2 courts. So, we're gonna see.
We made the decision to reduce it because I thought
Well,
our
we-
agreement was the board agreed to allow them to extend it to 3. We never discussed reducing it back to 2 as a board.
It was, right, and it was just done in Buildings and Grounds, having a conversation about it, so, we're gonna have to vote on that if we want to change the agreement.
I mean, they already started, they got it all prepared for 3 courts, that's, I would hate to break it down to 2 courts, because if they have the money for 3, I think it's beneficial for the children to have 3 courts as opposed to 2, and if they have the money, why not?
Any discussion about it?
Well, I thought they were going to be taking a little bit of time because of the weather. I don't think they're going to do construction during the winter time. No, they cleaning the area to prepare.
When they put the substrate down, they were backhoes over there, had a big pile of the substrate, they were putting down the gravel and whatever composite they have to use to start it. They already started. They have the subsurface down there. That's quite a bit of money they put in there.
They flattened the dirt, And, it's my understanding that it's just paint now that they have to put there, and then obviously.
Right, so they're just, they're done. So it's all paint. So they're almost done.
Right. If we gave you
Terrific, 3/4.
Yep. Well, let's, if we're okay with still 3/4, then we'll keep that. I think the concern, the conversation that was had at the buildings ground was one about, the property that it's on, and, how that's gonna look in the future. And if those, we want to make sure those courts are there for the long term, right?
So they're shifted to the side that goes back to the pavilion, they're not, they didn't move. They haven't relocated the original courts, they're still, those two courts are still there. And they added the extra one
The
east
one
of
over
that.
there, right?
Right, so they didn't east, not west.
Any other questions?
Joe, my recollection, the committee, everyone there was kind of unanimous about the Little League signage being increased, and we just get back to the community, let them know that's okay.
Yeah, we'll let them know. As long as it's no sponsors that are coming away.
Right, every time we run through the.
We don't want Marlboro cigarettes signed up, so. That's it.
Any questions? There's no other questions. Finance, go back to follow up.
Sorry, I forgot 2 things that I wanted to mention. Again, just to restate that this is not a final decision by the administrative law judge on the college fee. So the monthly amounts that are on the bills list still will remain at issue. That's the first thing. And the second thing that I wanted to mention is the last part of the discussion. Flip side of the charter school enrollment is, we did talk about the need to do a better job of recruiting students and bringing them into district and talking about the value of their education in the school district. And we talked about the need to improve our social media outreach because it's going to be a better source for families than articles in a newspaper, because a lot of people just don't read newspapers anymore. But we still really need to make a concerted effort to increase enrollment, because of course the greater enrollment that we have, the more state funding we get.
If I can, I just heard, with regard to advertisements being placed on school facilities, this is news to me, but I want to make a suggestion, if I can, that the policy committee consider a board policy on that, because,
We have,
but my concern is that
accountability reps, we do have policy on signage.
okay, but my concern, though, is that since it's not a board activity, that you're essentially allowing use of facilities by an outside organization is going to post signage temporarily on district facilities. I would suggest that the policy address that, because you may have controversial or other types of businesses, events, or situations that are advertised that wouldn't necessarily be appropriate for a school setting. The fact that it is our property, we are responsible for it. And so I would just want to make sure that there's a vetting process, or at least a review process by which the board could look at the advertisements that are being proposed and say yes or no. Because if we don't have controls over it, then who are we to say yes or no to anything? So
The
it's
signage would come to buildings and grounds committee, or?
no policy.
Or policy? No, the policy, right?
The request made was that they would seek approval, and I thought unanimously, we said that it would go to the acting superintendent, and would review every sign.
And just suggest that a process be put in place where not only is it an open process, but that, it's one that is non-biased, if you will, that takes into account the fact that we are a public school district. So you wouldn't want, for example, pardon my being a little rough here, but you wouldn't want an advertisement for an exotic dancing place on your, but if you don't have systems and controls in place for how that organization is going to use your facilities, you might have.
May I suggest that we add it to the facility use form? And we can state policy, whatever, unique accountability rights or signage, and then the board has to provide a picture or whatever the sign is, and it's approved with facility use. Maybe that's an easy way to go on it.
That makes perfect sense to me.
And we have time for the season start, so next.
Hold on, just to add, in our meeting, we discussed that, and my concern was what was going to be on those signs, who was going to be advertising, and we had to final say as a yes or no, depending on what ramifications can happen because of those signs. So we did discuss that.
So far, the signs they've used haven't been offensive, I've seen their local businesses, but yeah, definitely.
You never know.
Sorry, so just to close the loop on that, can we have a motion maybe that the policy committee will pull up the relevant policies, review them, update them, run by council, and then we review them for approval, or?
Yeah, we need a motion for that, just suggesting the policy chair add that item to their agenda for the next policy committee meeting.
Maybe Mr. Brown can throw something, or with Mr. Sosa, about the facilities use and add it to the format, and then that can just be plugged into what we already have.
Any more questions? Comments? Okay, athletics. We did not. Athletics meeting, this meeting, so CNI.
I just wanted to officially, I guess, tell the community as well as the board members that the boys basketball team has a couple home games next week on Tuesday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. And the girls basketball team is home the following week, I believe February 6th, also at 4 p.m. I'm going to try my best to be there, and I would love to see some of the board members and the community there as well to cheer on the team.
What school?
High school, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, CNI.
Curriculum and instruction met on the 23rd of January, virtually. Many things on the agenda tonight that we discussed that night. Bradley Elementary School, we partnered with the New Jersey Coalition on Inclusive Education for free resources and training that will cost nothing to the district. MLK students will have tuition approved for visual arts programs at Arts High from February 6th to May 8th. The total cost will be $905. Speech Therapy Connections LLC will be providing professional development on March 21st for speech therapists. The total cost of that will be $1,650, and that is paid for through the IDEA funds. Wage Women and Girls Educational International will be hosting sessions for female athletes at Asbury Park High School from January to June at no cost to the district. Zeta Epsilon Lambda Chapter Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity will be offering SAT and PSAT tutoring for Asbury Park High School students interested in college. That also will be at no cost to the district. The Wrestling Club renewed their with Beat the Streets for the 2024-2025 year from March to June 25th, also at no cost to the district. Wellspring Center for Prevention will provide life skill programming for grades 3 and 6 through 8 from January to December, no cost to the district. Steam Park Academy will be providing STEM enrichment for physics and computer science at MLK from January to February. The total cost will be $5,975, and that will be paid for through the grant fund. And we have lots of school trips going out in the next time period here, and all the trips are free except for the busing that we pay for. That concludes my report.
Any questions or comments? Next is personnel.
Personnel. Yeah, I'm just gonna say personnel did meet today and we were staff appointments.
Questions or comments? I would like to.
Mr. Rogers, before we go on with the agenda, I just wanted to mention that January is School Board Recognition Month. And I didn't want to read this whole resolution from school board, but I think myself and I hope the board members join me in thanking all the school board members throughout the state of New Jersey that serve our communities and our children. It is a time-consuming task, it's volunteer, and I think we all appreciate the work that the school board members do in this district and the entire state of New Jersey.
Thank you, Mr. Felicity. Let's move on to public participation. In accordance with Board Policy 0167, the Asbury Park School Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment in educational issues and other matters of importance and provides members of the public with opportunity to express themselves on school matters of community interest. The public comment portion of this meeting is not a question and answer session, and all public comments should be directed to the board president or the deciding officer of the meeting. Members of the public who wish to make public comments must be recognized by the deciding officer and provide his or her name, municipality or residence, and group affiliation if applicable. All public comments shall be directed to the deciding officer and are limited to 3 minutes in duration. Members of the public who do not follow the foregoing rules or interfering with the orderly operation of the board meeting may be removed from the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, pick up a coastal paper to read what's going on in the community, and you come across the article signed the district about the acquisition superintendent by suing, I don't know if I can give you an answer to this. Suing 3 board members about definitely, how is it supposed to work? How is it supposed to work when the acting superintendent is suing 3 current board members for putting out lies and false information during their campaign? Will ever come to something with these 3 board members and will, and if they be removed, what happens? Can y'all work together? Can I work together around here? Then you have to do the president of the school district and acting superintendent. Forget the not in position, he's not qualified to get. From my understanding, he was working part-time in the district, and how would they have worked in that position? We go, if we have open council, took off, working part-time. Then you have ex-employees come to the district that had non-district, saw the district, Because they say, in some of the board members, because the kids are not being educated in Asbury Park. Okay? Then you have community members out here school, some board members, when they call them character, but what they their past, this doesn't come to question. Okay? So now somebody else says something about it, you want to sue them, because of something you have done in the past, I'm making one. And then you have ex-board members who supposedly don't like each other. You had a problem with the board member that was on board. They had brought extra charges against them. Now, y'all take the seed. Shaking my head now. I don't know. To me, it's all bunch of rationale, confusion, BS, bull, crap, bullshit. It's all wrong. And you know, they part about all this shit. Our kids still like education. Education. That's the sad part. So I don't know where you all this money come from, all this stuff going on around here. So my man still there. Nobody had money for education. So you y'all act together. Y'all can start getting along. Pray to Jesus, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Even someone that on that. I just have a question in regards to two things. One was the report about the finances. I know that there's been grants that I submitted to the school district in regards to like resource officers that we no longer have in our district. But there was an opportunity for us to apply for a grant that would pay their salary. Have we applied for that? Have we attempted to apply for that? What is our plan? There is, and I have a list of grants that I can give you that we can apply for in this district to bring into the community. This way it doesn't always have to be the district has to find this money to provide this opportunity. We can apply for that grant to keep these services in our district on our own. The other question I have is, you guys are talking about signage in areas of the community. Ms. Barbara, I know you dealt with lots of stuff when it comes to city stuff. In their applications, you do have to provide, if you want to sign it up, you do have to provide a sample of what the sign is supposed to be, if somebody presented. So you know ahead of time what's going to be out there. So it's not a matter of saying, well, we don't know what the sign is going to look like, or what's going to be advertised. It's in the application, submit your information, submit a sample of what the post is going to be, or the flyer is going to be, and you know it above hand before it's actually out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Hey, Calvin, 405, First Avenue. My concern is taxes. Taxes, can you hear me? Okay, taxes. Oh, okay, my concern is on taxes. Taxes for homeowners and for people who are renting here in Asbury going up and up. My suggestion, I would like for some kind of freeze on these raises that you give to people. You give them raises and it's coming on us. We got to pay for this. And I would also like the board to consider notifying the homeowners when you give somebody a raise. Or some sort of audit or something, because we're going up with the taxes and people can't live here. If people can't live here, how are we going to pay taxes for the kids to go to the schools? You know, I mean, I'm just saying, you know, when you consider giving raises, give us justification why you're giving those raises. Not suggesting for the freeze on raises, it's giving them this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Felicia Simmons was our community center at the Great Park School Avenue. Most of the things that most people said I was going to address tonight about freezing increases or raises and addressing the budget. But I also want to speak about testifying last week, in training, in front of the Department of Education, and listening to people speak about the assessment and the fact that we're about to lose $30 million and close to $20 million over the last few years. We spoke about listening to the problem of everyone else. I addressed that Asbury doesn't have that same problem where we don't have funds, but we have the problem where our kids aren't receiving the basic needs of the child across the state. Suggesting to them and also starting to work with some people that I met at this meeting is a bill of rights for basic needs for the children of Asbury Park. Because we know what they're pushing for. But the sale of our buildings and the display of our things is for a regionalized school and to get away from the whole food, which they call it. I'm not a fan of it, and neither should the taxpayer here in Asbury Park be a fan of giving away our rights as people who live here to dictate what our educational needs of our children are. So we should have the basics, because I hear people saying that they don't get $13,000 to $16,000 per kid, but they have one-to-one, right? IT, right? They have books in their libraries. They have these programs and these programs, and they don't get about a third of both of them. So we should start, and also with the raises on our maps, right, on the budget, because everybody's paid well here, even though it's still expensive to live in New Jersey, but our kids don't have IT, right? They don't have the basic needs that our district should have, or our kids should have. So we should start from there, and putting in needs from there, and then go down, right? Because it's the kids on the top, and everybody else is the bottom. So that's where we should be starting in our assessments. And then also, I agree with the lawyer, you should put a specific policy in on about signage, because it is not to the personality of the person sitting there at the time. It is in writing, and even after the people leave here on the board, somebody else comes in and says, the president is somewhere for the next generation of people to stand for. So put it in writing, put it for everybody to use, and make it unfair. Make it fair and even across, fair and even across the board. And that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, we can close public participation. Can we go over our monthly data report?
Hello. We just had one for the month of December, and we only had one, so that's good.
Superintendent's report.
No report at this time.
Mr. Here, don't you mention your strategic or your way?
Yeah, we'll further discussion, and that'll be discussed in the next board meeting. Because it'll be more elaborate next meeting.
State manager's report.
I have no report for this month.
Okay, we have acceptance of minutes. The board approves the minutes of the regular meeting held December 19th, 2024. Good.
I'm sorry, is this just for today, or is this for all of the Mr. Rogers? This is just for A or for vacancy?
For A. We had, some members that weren't here, so we start this right now. call.
Ms. Hudson? Steve? Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Bill?
Yes.
Mr. Linsky?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs? Yes. Ms. Jackson? Yes. Mr. Rogers?
Yes. The board of minutes for the closed executive session held on December 19, 2024.
Second.
Roll call.
This is for 12B, right? Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Bill?
Yes.
Mr. Linsky? Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs? Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes. Oh, see. Motion and second.
Move it.
Sir,
Roll call.
Ms. Hudson? Yes. Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Bill?
Steve?
Steve? January 2nd?
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Rogers? Mr. Linsky? Ms. Dr. Bennett?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs? Ms. Jackson? And Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Roberts, before we start the regular agenda, I'd like to bring up a motion from executive session.
Yes. Second.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the board attorney, board secretary, and architect to proceed with the necessary steps to prepare for the sale of the Dorothy McNish Center building and maintenance building on Second Avenue.
Second.
Roll call.
Discussion, please. Move this way.
Discussion, please. So as part of the preparation for the sale of the maintenance building, I would like the part of that preparation to be where the maintenance building, where maintenance will be at if the building is sold, what the cost will be to buy any equipment, pole barns, et cetera, in order to move maintenance. And then also if the place is going to be where the tennis courts are, then there has to be some agreement reached in writing prior to the sale, any sale of the maintenance building.
Can I further that discussion? What it has to do with the tennis courts?
Because the pole barn, if they plan to do one, will go where the tennis courts are plans.
Why would you use the facility over there? There's parking lots and other areas that were up above.
Again, this has to be all planned out, there's another place to put it, there has to be a plan written on what's going to happen to the maintenance department.
No, I don't know anything about that part of it, any discussion about using that property for that. That's what I asked. But as I said, in preparation are the necessary steps. So you can include that in the necessary step. What are the necessary steps?
And also, the district may be selling the rock. So you have to determine, you can't sell the rock and the maintenance building, it has to be one at a time.
I'm making a motion to authorize the board attorney, the board secretary, and the architect to proceed with the necessary steps to prepare for the sale of the Dorothy McNish Center and the maintenance building. And that's what my motion is.
And I'm having to make sure that the preparation includes what I just spoke about.
Yes, you're saying preparation of where to put the items. I understand that.
What it will cost and.
I understand that. That's part of the motion.
For let's say, $3 million, and it costs $2 million to move it.
I understand. We've had estimates before what it was going to cost to move also. So we can go back to our old estimates and have some ground, some place to start and work from there. Yes, sir.
And I would just say that, we should look into, if we're gonna get a full barn, look into a shared service with the city, because they may have use for that pole barn as well. So that way it's not all on us, the cost, but that'll be part of the plan.
That's, you're extending things far beyond what we've ever discussed. I'm going to leave my motion the way it is. And let's vote on it like that. And if there's something that comes up, we can come back and revisit. But let's get started. We've been talking about this for almost a decade. Can we please get started on doing some of this so that we can plan for the future and our budget that's going to crush us next year?
Teachers.
A little bit.
Roll call.
Ms. Ackerman? Yes. Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocco?
Yes.
Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
Dr. Penna?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs?
Yes.
Ms. Basson?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Okay, as state monitor, I'm going to add to that motion, preparation should include the cost to move the maintenance building to another area, and all costs including land, open buildings, and things like that.
We'll add that to the motion. And we'll continue to make sure this goes to the buildings and ground to get all this information before we have. Thank you. Well, we're on that subject, we had a discussion, and I think we should look, because this budget is going to be the most exhaustive, crushing to this district. I think we should look to have a March town hall meeting that would actually give all the residents all the information as to what has been going on in the district, what we're expecting to do, how far we're expecting to go. There's anecdotal information that some people in the community have put out, they talk about pilots, they talk about issues with our buildings. So I'm asking that the finance committee need to put together a town hall meeting for March 1st at the high school, where we have enough people. 10 o'clock, I think, would be good in the morning, and make sure we get everyone involved to think about putting together this budget so it's the most transparent we've ever been. Are there any discussions?
Yeah. So we have a couple of questions. First, the structure of a town hall meeting doesn't seem to be an opportunity that we can engage in, right? We can't have back and forth Q&A session with the community and anything at a time. So that by virtue, by definition, a town hall is something like that. So I would ask that the plans for this be very clear. I mean, my understanding of the policy is that the only single individual who can speak on behalf of the district is the superintendent. No individual school board member can speak or answer questions, so I just am raising that as a question, I guess, as to what we envision this being. Do we envision this being a financial report by the superintendent of the budget as it stands and proposed cuts or changes, or just another board meeting? So that's my question.
Ms. Ackerman, the board in the past has had town hall meetings. I'm just thinking, Mr. Lotterock and Mr. Lozinski may remember, probably 4 or so years ago at one of the churches. And my recollection of that is that it was an open dialogue by board members and the public. But to your question or concern, Ms. Ackerman, the board, by virtue of having a town hall meeting, can kind of authorize board members to speak directly to members of the public at that meeting in public. Because it would also be technically a publicly noticed board meeting. because the fact that we're having a quorum present, and we're talking about board business, it would be a regularly noticed public board meeting. The format of it, though, will be a little different than if you're going to run it the same way you've done in the past. The format itself would be a little different to allow dialogue. And it's understood that by virtue of the fact that it is a noticed board meeting, that board members can speak freely and address any concerns in particular that residents may bring to the microphone.
Right, I guess I would ask you then, the way I've read the policies in terms of how, so if, I guess my concern with that is we're going to be talking about something that's very, very, very important. And also we're talking about a little more than 30 days from today. So unless we're planning on having all these sessions between board and full board and the superintendent, I don't know what answers we're going to have for our constituents.
That's a different issue.
It is a different issue, but it ties to my current issue of who's going to answer the questions, right? Are we going to take turns? Will the questions be submitted in advance? What if we don't agree on an issue that someone's asking us about? I guess I have some concerns about it as in terms of our core governance and the way we present ourselves, and also the potential for someone saying something that we're then held to that not everyone agrees to. Right? I just have some real concerns about an open dialogue in this sense.
From a legal perspective, I don't view it any differently than a board member giving their opinion here in this room. Certainly, to the extent that you have a concern that it may not line up, the format may not line up with policy, the board could vote essentially to either suspend its current policy to allow that particular meeting and that particular format, whatever the board decides the format should be. But there are, to the extent that the board wants to have a public dialogue with members of the public, there are mechanisms that we can put in place to allow free exchange of ideas between board members and interactions with the public at that meeting. It's certainly possible, and we can do it so that your concerns are addressed as it relates to the format, and so that we can have an open discussion with community members.
Yeah, we've worked well before, as long as we all know what our goals are.
Yeah, right now.
And March 1st is a Saturday, is it?
Yeah. And basically, I'm going to say a couple of words and then turn it over to finance chair. This is not a situation of us confirming anything. It's I think, a valuable tool that many people in this district have not been getting full information about the operations of this district. Say the relationship with pilots, say the relationship with different other items that have gone into it. What we want to do is make sure we give factual information that is substantiated. The board members, as in discussions that we have here, public discussions on budget, it's the same dialogue that we're going to have with ourselves, but we will engage the community who has made it their importance to know what is affecting their increase in taxes and the situation going on. So
That's fine, but I think what you just said goes to that. We have no control of the pilots. So I would be I'm uncomfortable to begin with. So I'm just asking that one, that the attorney take a look at our current policies and see if we need to change anything. And two, that there be very, very open and early discussions among the board as a whole as to exactly what topics we're going to be discussing, how the format is going to be run, and how we're going to answer these questions. And I think that's going to involve the superintendent as well, I think we do that, as a group before anything is decided, because we are a whole when it comes to things like this. And so these are my concerns. I put them on the record. I've asked the attorney. It seems to be a fair question what I'm asking, so I would just ask that that's how we handle this.
any other discussion?
What time? I'm just trying to put my hand in.
10 o'clock.
10 a.m.
Yeah.
So just to fill people in for the initial idea of how we're going to approach this, because we have 5 weeks left to do this. The plan is for the finance committee to meet next weekend. We're going to do an initial outline of the topics to be covered. We envision a brief historical background of how we got where we are, educate the community on some school funding issues, why the cost of educating students is what it is, what surrounding districts are actually paying to educate their kids, how the school funding formula works, how we've been impacted by S2, where that puts us now. And again, we need everyone to get on the same educated page of what this all does. There's a lot of confusion about how those pilot payments are calculated both in terms of the state funding formula and what it does for the school budget and what it doesn't do. But we're going to use the resources that we have to make as clear and simple a presentation we can, and then from there, discuss the challenges that we have, discuss what our current budget has looked like for this year, how much gets spent on different categories, and where we can look to reduce the expenses, cover this budget hole, and really open it up as a building opportunity to, once we've set the framework and the foundation, it's a building opportunity for the public with real information and real numbers to say, what does this community want to see from its public education system? And based on that, we can go back and complete all of our work on building a budget that this community can accept and be proud of within the constraints that we have. So once the finance committee meets and puts an initial outline together, we will then send that to the full board to ask for additional input if we're missing topics, if certain things should be highlighted, and then put together a set of, and we're going to need the administration's help on this, put together a good set of slides and information that's understandable and can be handed out, people can take home and work with. After the meeting, we'll set up a special email address for community to send in comments and suggestions, and have really a joint effort on addressing the challenges that we're facing. We've spoken to the monitor, our 2 monitors are willing to help us through this process, put these numbers together, and move it forward. It's a short amount of time to do it, but I think if we keep the framework in mind and know that we can't overload everyone with information, but everyone has to have the same information and understanding at the end of the day so we can move forward.
No, that sounds great. I think then what I would ask is that there be a meeting of the board about the budget. Because if we're all going to sit in front of the community and have an understanding of the budget, then I think we need a special meeting for the board to fully understand the budget. Just like the one that Don approved for our last meeting.
Well, we won't be at a prospective budget for next year yet at that point in time. This is really talking about where we're going to go, so it's not a prospective discussion.
No, but it's talking about the current budget, which we don't all have the same level of understanding of. Right?
No, but what we're gonna have is another budget meeting, and prior to us passing the budget approval to the county, we all have to have that discussion. What we're doing is giving an informational meeting to the community, and all those things will be added into, which you will now have also their feedback as to what they're expecting. You're making decisions as to closing out this budget. And then we can submit the budget to the county. Right now, I don't express to making like Ms. Lizinski. Me and her may have a different opinion on a certain building or anything, or, what we're doing. What we're saying is we want to get as much information together, so all information is provided to the community. They can give us feedback, and then we can actually make a decision as to whether or not you or make an individual decision to pass this budget to go on to the.
No, I get it. Yeah, no, thank you. I'm just saying, it goes back to my earlier point that we're all on council at the same page and all have the exact same understanding of the budget as it stands, so that we can make this presentation. So if you're gonna share all of the details of the presentation with enough time for us to have a meeting, if need be, a special meeting of the finance committee, or a special, actually, would have to be a meeting of the board, so everyone can attend. So that we're all 110% on the same page before we stand up in front of the citizens and present. This is all I'm asking, so it's just revisiting the motion that Tom made at the last meeting, that we have a special meeting to go over the budget as it stands today.
Right now, the budget just got opened yesterday. We will not have any final numbers until the 26th, I think, February. This is February 6th, where the governor will give us our numbers. Right now, if we want to have a special meeting to go over, but I think Ms. Laskin said, any information that we're putting together in the presentation will be forwarded to the whole board. Any questions that will be able to be asked, our board will be able to ask before that meeting. But we're going to have continual meetings going on, and I hope no one actually represents what their personal opinions are. These are facts of numbers of what we anticipate something can be purchased for, what can be purchased for, what we're looking to do. Right now, all these things are factored into the process, and like I said, we want to look at another a special meeting, or even have a more formative meeting on the 20th. What is our next board meeting?
That's what I was gonna ask, what state the budget process will be in by the time we meet again. I mean, that'd be a good time to update information about how it's going.
Did we get the state numbers the 25th, 27th? Yeah.
Yeah, but you already have your general budget before that, and you'll kind of know where you stand, because you either, you know your expenses, you're basing it on a flat number, the same as last year, so you'll know where you stand before you know where you stand, in other words. So the monthly meeting, we should.
Yeah, the monthly meeting should be able to happen, and we can kind of finalize everything, but this will be a progression. And with all the,
We'll know what we're planning on if everything stays the same. Okay, so that will be usually by the end of the month, and it's February. Right.
Everything is this is going to involve a lot of work and heavy lifting by everybody, and there are really quick turnarounds. We're committed to sharing the information with everyone in the drafts as we go through. But again, it can't take days to come back because we only have to lose to this whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the point that the charge for us in finance is going to be. We have to be sharing all of that quickly and responding if we're not going to have a meeting where the whole county can see everything all at once. So we're going to have to be that. We know that.
so can we all agree to, second motion, first and second, a motion for a meeting on, special meeting on March 1st, my mind is going. And
We just need consensus, don't we? We don't need that. Yeah, I think everybody agrees in March first.
Okay, if we just add to the motion, that the board secretary is authorized to advertise that meeting, that would be great. Yes.
I have a draft. I just need where I at Asbury Park High School, the auditorium.
Auditorium.
10 a.m. 10 a.m. to,
Should we table the motion until the attorney is able to look at the policies and confirm that there's no conflict with what we've already got in place? Why?
We can set the policy aside. There's no policy exactly for a town hall meeting. It's a different format we've done several times. And if we agree to have it, it's still going to be published as a public meeting.
Yeah.
Or the board will be present.
and sometimes they were successful and sometimes they weren't, but I think if we're prepared and we do what we have to do, it'll be a success.
So this is a motion for a special Board of Education / town hall meeting on March 1st at 10 a.m. at Asbury Park High School auditorium. So who first and who second?
I'll move it.
Roman?
Vote no. Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Grillo?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes.
Ms. Lozinski?
Yes.
Dr. Penna? Ms. Riggs?
Yes.
Ms. Waxman?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Review of the regular agenda meeting. Yes.
Can we get a consent agenda for B1, B6?
I'll move it, but I'd like to postpone D3 number 5 until, remove it till next month, not that one, the other policies. I'm sorry, D5, number 3, the policies and regulations until next month. I'll make the motion and table those for next month. Remove those until next month. The new mandated regulations, not the title regulations, the ones that are made dead.
So item 3, you will need to table
No, it's, I think B6, if I'm not mistaken, B6, no, B5, number 3,
All of them?
yeah, there are ones that we haven't seen yet, they're just put on the agenda tonight. This afternoon. Before the first, so you have the first reading. The consent agenda, but I'd like to remove B5, number 3 till next month, so the board can review those policies for the first reading. Yes, because the board has to approve those regulations also.
I'll second.
Roll call. Questions to ask? Questions or comments?
I'd like to go back to the staff appointments again. It's mandated for PE, it can be mandated for teacher ed. But if I'm in favor of a hiring freeze for building up our reserve, music and art would not be mandated, is that correct? Not that you have to agree with me, but is it mandated?
They should have, for a team, they should have those subject areas. Also, we noted that these classes are already been scheduled, and kids are not going to them because we don't have teachers. So we need to fill those slots. Yeah, it's also prep areas for teachers, so teachers are not getting any prep, so in the spring.
Also,
We're in discussion right now, so I want to raise a concern about CUSAC to the extent that you don't have an adequate number of teachers, that may be a factor as well.
So we're gonna vote on the motion to table B53. Ms. Ackerman? This is the policy. Yes. Everyone favor, yes. Ms. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Lindsey?
Yes.
Dr. Tanner?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs?
Yes.
Ms. Glassman?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
And we have a motion for consent agenda B1 to 6. Mr. Lindsey, first motion, I need a second. Did you motion?
Yes.
I need a second. Okay. Ms. Ackerman?
Okay, this is to approve everything else?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Mr. LaRocca? Mr. Lindsey? Dr. Tanner?
Yes.
Ms. Riggs?
Yes.
Ms. Glassman?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next.
Can I get a consent agenda for the C1? Promotion, C4?
Yes. First.
Second? The business section, I need a second.
I'll second. I do have a question. During the last few months, several of the months we've had, quite a few transfers in the budget. Can you give me a general explanation of why all those transfers? I haven't experienced that many in all the years I think I've been here. Is it, I'm not quite sure what kind of explanation could explain.
Well, we did, movement of teachers, so you moved to Bradley. We have to, but your money was at third grade. So a lot of those transfers were to make sure that every person was coded correctly. So I had to move the monies around to make sure that you're at Bradley, was at third grade, you know what I mean? So when I.
So that's why a salary meant for the salary and a consultant went to the consultant and there's a couple other ones I was concerned about, but that explains quite a bit.
A lot of them, yeah, the secretary with the movement, you know, the money has to follow the person, so I had to do a transfer between buildings.
Any more questions? Yes, sir.
For travel and professional development, is that funded? Travel and professional development?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's what reminded me, professional development, there was no cost assigned to any of those, no cost, there's no money in the money column.
No, we wanted to put it on there, so just in case a year or 6 months from now, you guys ask, well, how many, what did we do for professional development?
Oh, okay, so this is the plan that these individuals are planning to go there, and each individual.
Everyone can track, regardless if they have a cost or not, we want to keep track of all professional development.
Okay, so when the one, let's say, Mr. Sosa's going to Atlantic City for his conference, will that be approved with the cost?
Yes.
At the time?
Yes.
That's good, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Ms. Ackerman?
I vote yes to all except for item B, I vote no.
Okay.
C3, number 8.
Ms. Clark?
I'm voting yes on everything except 1A, bills and claims that pertain to college achieve charter, and I am voting no on number 8, the program modeling proposal on C3 number 8.
Can I just make a point of order just to interject? I wanted to make the board aware of one thing. College Achieve, I know that some of you don't know. I just want to remind you that under the ethics code, you're supposed to follow court orders and law. So I just want to mention that to you as you vote.
Mr. Rowe?
Yeah, I'm voting yes to everything except C1, 1A, college achieve, pertains to that, also pertains to utility bills, and also no on C3.
Mr. LaRocca?
Yes, everything but no on number 8 on C3.
Mr. Zeski?
Based on everything, no on consultants, paid consultants.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, on everything except 1A, anything to do with college achieve, and on C3, 8, no.
Ms. Riggs?
Okay, I am abstaining on number 2, page C1.
C1 too?
Number 2.
Okay.
I'm voting no on C2, number 5. I am voting no on C3, number 8. Everything else, yes.
But you're abstaining on anything to do with the ward?
Oh, almost forgot, thank you. I'm abstaining on anything that may have to do with the Jones ward or ward.
Ms. Washington?
Yes, except for no as to C1A as to college achieve, and no C3 number 8.
Ms. Rogers?
No on C1A, anything to do with college achieve, and no on C3, number 8.
Thank you. Ms. Riggs?
I just want to recuse myself for anything having to do with the Jones ward.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting, or does the state monitor have something?
Oh, I have something to say. Regarding college achieve, I would like to read you a paragraph from the court decision that you just received. The equities here do not fall in favor of the charter school. The district paid the charter school all amounts due in 23-24 school year, and the charter school is not argued in its motion that the district has failed to pay the charter school for the amounts due in 24-25. There is no present violation of initial decision granting emergency relief dated July 16th, and therefore no reason to levy a sanction against the board. I would like the board to thank me for overriding them each time, so they were not sanctioned by the administrative law judge.
I will thank you from my heart that you have enabled us to get a favorable decision from a judge.
But you did override.
So in that, I'd like.
And I will continue to override your decision not to pay college achieve tonight.
Which allows us to continue to stand on principle and to protect us from ourselves.
So overriding the board on number 8 on page C3. Yeah, I think it's very important for the board to understand what savings they can achieve in the Buildings and Grounds Department by the study. And once the study is completed and you have real numbers, then you can decide what you want to do. So I am overriding the board on number 8 because I think it's something that could be very cost effective for the board and help you reduce the budget for next year.
Okay.
That's it.
Second, I would ask the state one. Did you look at the data that was provided by the administration? I mean that clearly showed definitive and substantial savings, so that we as a board can see that. And I think we as a board don't disagree with when we're going to be looking at support staff positions, there's going to have to be savings there. Personally, I've worked for organizations where there's been complete outsourcing, and I think there's quality issues in doing that. But my question would just be, we have been relatively well informed by the administration to have that debate if people disagree with me. So I'm just asking you to look at that as well.
Okay, well, of course, there will be a debate down the road when you try and plug the $12.5 million hole in the budget. And there will be debate, but you need actual numbers to have that debate. That's all.
Yeah, two things. We also must keep in mind that that's exactly what displays a lot of residents, most residents that live here in town. So we have to keep that in mind also. But I also wanted to bring to the board's attention that the homeowners association is having a meeting in February, and from my understanding, board members will speak on behalf of the board. And we as a board decide which members will speak for us, or will it be our superintendent?
Right now, we're going to discuss that meeting this evening. Right now, the information is going to be voluminous, and I don't think we should, we should talk to them to see what type of schedule or anything, and we'll make a follow-up decision. But we'll have the finance committee, the superintendent, so to speak on information, and that's what I want everybody to continue to understand. We're not speaking on the terms of the board and making decisions. Anything that comes out of this board, I hope, is information that has been provided, that is operable, or information that is helpful to understand what our budget situation is.
Well, you do understand by policy, the superintendent is the one who speaks for the district. And they're the ones that should be invited to the homeowners talk unless the board selects individuals to speak on behalf of the body. And what the situation is I received an email from the homeowners that the board president and board members were already committed to go to a meeting, and we hadn't discussed it, so I think that's why Mr. Rose brought it up.
No, we're going to be talking to the homeowners association because there were time limits and issues. We said we would be interested in doing it, just to let them know, but we're going to get a further discussion because, as I told the homeowners association person, we were interested, making sure we're communicating, but also the time limits, 15 minutes.
Well, maybe you should just invite them to the.
No, that's what I actually did. I told them that. I told, yeah.
Well, maybe just say we can't take it.
Exactly.
This community extends far beyond the number of homeowners that are members of the homeowner association. And that's why we wanted to do this town hall so that the whole community gets to attend this meeting and hear the stuff
All at the same time.
Be back.
Okay. Not one more person. Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Move.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Hey, how are you? Oh, I didn't, I already was you. Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Well.